Artemisia tinctoria, wild indigo. Leguminosae for the lymphatic temperament. Great prostration, with disposition to decomposition of fluids pie. Ulceration of mucous membranes. All exhalations and discharges fetid, especially in typhoid or other acute disease. Breath, stool, urine, perspiration, ulcers, psa, pie. Aversion to mental exertion. Indisposed, or want of power to think. Perfect indifference. Don't care to do anything. Inability or fix the mind to work. Stupor. Falls asleep while being spoken to, or in the midst of his answer when spoken to. Answers correctly, but delirium returns at once. On. Tongue. At first coated white with red papillae. Dry and yellow-brown in center. Later dry. Cracked. Ulcerated. Face flushed. Dusky. Dark red. With a stupid, besotted drunken expression gels. Can swallow liquids only bar. C. Least solid food gags can swallow liquids only, but has aversion to them. Sill. Painless sore throat. Tonsils. Soft palate and carotids dark red. Swollen. Putrid. Offensive discharge diff. Dysentery of old people. Diarrhea of children. Especially when very offensive carbo v. Pod. Sir. Cannot go to sleep because she cannot get herself together. Head or body feels scattered about the bed. Tosses about to get the pieces together. Thought she was 3 persons. Could not keep them covered better. In whatever position the patient lies. The parts rested upon feel sore and bruised pie. Compare. On. Pie. Decubitus in typhoid on. Mer. AC. Pie. Relation. Similar. To. On. Ars. Brie. Gels. In the early stages of fever with malaise. Nervousness. Flushed face. Drowsiness. And muscular soreness. When Rs. Has been properly given or too often repeated in typhoid or typhus. After baptisia. Cropped. Ham. NIT. AC. And Tereb. Act well in hemorrhage of typhoid and typhus. Keynotes by H. C. Allen Barita carbonica. Barium carbonate. Baco 3. Especially adapted to complaints of first and second childhood. Vepsoric or tubercular. Memory deficient. Forgetful. Inattentive. Chilled cannot be taught for it cannot remember. Threatened idiocy. Scrofulous. Dwarfish children who do not grow, children who grow too rapidly. Cal. Scrofulous ophthalmia. Cornea opaque. Abdomen swollen. Frequent attacks of colic. Face bloated. General emaciation. Children both physically and mentally weak. Dwarfish. Hysterical women and old maids with scanty menses. Deficient feet. Always cold and chilly. Old. Cachetic people. Scrofulous. Especially when fat. Or those who suffer from gouty complaints fluor. AC. Diseases of old men. Hypertrophy or induration of prostate and testes. Mental and physical weakness. Apoplectic tendency in old people. Complaints of old drunkards. Headache of aged people. Who are childish. Persons subject to quinsy. Take cold easily. Or with every. Even the least. Cold have an attack often cellitis prone to suppuration hep. Sir. Inability to swallow anything but liquids bap. Sil. Hemorrhoids protrude every time urinates mere. AC. Chronic cough in psoric children. Enlarged tonsils or elongated uvula. After slight cold alum. Swelling and indurations. Or incipient suppuration of glands. Especially isovetal and inguinal. Offensive foot sweat. Toes and soles get sore. Of the heels. Throat affections after checked foot sweat compare. Graph. Sir. Sanic. Sil. Great sensitiveness to cold cal. Calic. Sir. Relation. Frequently useful before or after psir. Sulf. Anchchub. After bar. C. So will often eradicate the constitutional tendency to quinsy. Similar. Ter. Alum. Cal. Iod. Dull. Fluor. AC. Iod. Sil. I-compatible. After calc. Inscrofulous affections. Aggravation. When thinking of his disease Oxal. AC. Lying on painful side. After meals. Washing affected parts. Keynotes by H. C. Len Belladonna. Deadly nightshade. Solanaso adapted to bilious. Lymphatic. Plethoric constitutions. Persons who are lively and entertaining when well, but violent and oft delirious when sick. Women and children with light hair and blues. Fine complexion. Delicate skin. Sensitive. Nervous. Threatened with convulsions. Tuberculous patients. Great liability to take cold. Sensitive to draughts of air. Especially when uncovering the head. From having the hair cut. Tonsils become inflamed after riding in a cold windicon. Hep. Russ takes cold from exposure of feet. Con. Cup. Sil. Quick sensation and motion. Eye snap and move. Quickly. Pains come suddenly. Last indefinitely and cease suddenly mag. P. Pains usually in short attacks. Cause redness of fascine eyes. Fullness of head and throbbing of carotids. Imagines Hesse's ghosts. Hideous faces. And various insects strum. Black animals. Dogs. Wolves. Fear of imaginary things. Wants to run away from them. Hallucinations. Violent delirium. Disposition to bite. Spit. Strike and tear things. Breaks into fits of laughter and gnashes teeth. Wants to bite and strike the attendant strum. Tries to escape hell. Head hot and painful. Face flushed. Eyes wild. Staring. Pupils dilated. Pulse full and bounding. Globular. Like buckshot striking the finger. Mucous membrane of mouth dry. Stool tardy and urine suppressed. Sleepy. But cannot sleep sham. Op. Convulsions during teething. With fever without fever. Mag. P. Come on suddenly. Head hot. Feet cold. Rush of blood to head and face a mill. Glun. Mel. Headache. Congestive. With redfus. Throbbing of brain and carotids met. From slight noise. Jar. Motion. Light. Lying down. Least exertion. Pressure. Tight bandaging. Wrapping up. During menses. boring the head into HCO APIs. Hell. Pod. Vertigo when stooping, or when rising after stooping brie. On every change of position. Abdomen tender. Distended by least jar. Even of the bed. Obliged to walk with great care for fear of a jar. Pain in right ilocoecal region. By slightest touch. Even of the bed minus cover. The transverse column protrudes like a pad. Skin. Of a uniform. Smooth. Shining scarlet redness. Dry. Hot. Burning. Imparts a burning sensation toe examining had. The true synonym scarlet fever. Where eruption is perfectly smooth and truly scarlet. Pressing downwards as if the contents of abdomen would issue from the vulva. Standing and sitting erect. Worse mornings lil. Mer. Sep. Relations. Complementary. Calcarea. Belladonna is the acute calcarea, which is often required to complete a cure. Similar. Ta. Akan. Brie. Sick. Gels. Glun. Hyos. Mel. Op. Strum. Aggravation. From touch. Motion. Noise. Draft of air. Looking at bright. Shining objects lies. Strum. After 3 p.m. Night. After midnight. While drinking. Uncovering the head. Summer sun. Lying down. Amelioration. Rest. Standing or sitting erect. Warm room. Keynotes by H. C. Allen. Benzoic acid. C6H5Q. A gouty. Rheumatic diathesis engrafted on a gonorrheal or syphilitic patient. Gouty concretions. Arthritis vega. Affects all the joints, especially the knee. Cracking on motion. Nodicities verb. Lith. Lies. Urine dark brown. And the urinous odor highly intensified. A neurosis nocturna of delicate children. Dribbling urine of old men with enlarged prostrate. Strong characteristic odor. Excesses of uric acid. Catarrh of bladder after suppressionoia. Diarrhea of children. White. Very offensive. Exhausting liquid stools. Running right through the diaper pod. Urinary offensive and of a deep red color. Cough. With expectoration of green mucus natter. S. Extreme weariness. Lassitude. Pains tearing. Stitching. Enlarged joints of big toe. Redness and swelling of joints. Gout at night. Relation. Similar. Ta. Cop. Niter. Fur. Future. Especially in neurosis after niter. Has failed. Verb. Lith. C. In arthritic complaints. Useful after colch. Fails in gout. After abuse of cop. In suppression of gonorrhea. Incompatible. Wine. Which aggravates urinary gouty and rheumatic affections. Keynotes by H. C. Lemberberis vulgaris. Barbary berberidaso. The renal or vesical symptoms predominate. Pain in small of back. Very sensitive to touching renal region. When sitting and lying. From jar. From fatigue. Burning and soreness in region of kidneys. Numbness. Stiffness. Lameness with painful pressure in renal and lumbar regions. Pale. Earthy complexion. With sunken cheeks and hollow. blue encircled eyes, rheumatic and gouty complaints, with diseases of the urinary organs, colic from gallstones, bilious colic, followed by jaundice, clay-colored stools, fistula in an O, with bilious symptoms and itching of the parts, short cough and chest complaints, especially after operations for fistulae cal. P. Sil. Stitching. Cutting pain from left kidney, following course of ureta into bladder and urethra tab. R. Kidney. Like. Renal colic. Left side tab. Either side. With urging and strangury. Canth. Rubbing sensation in kidneys med. Urine. Greenish. Blood red. With thick. Slimy mucus. Transparent. Reddish or gel-like sediment. Movement brings on or increases urinary complaints. Relation. Similar. To. Canth. Like. SARS. Tab. In renal colic. Acts well after. On. Brie. Callo bi. Rus. Sulf. In rheumatic affections. Aggravations. Motion. Walking or carriage riding. Any sudden jarring movement. Keynotes by H. C. Allen bismuth. Hydrated oxide of bismuth by 203O2. Solitude is unbearable. Desires company. Child holds onto its mother's hand for company calice. Lil. Like. Anguish. He sits. Then walks. Then lies. Never long in one place. Headache returning every winter. Alternating with. Or attended by gastralgia. Face. Deathly pale. Blue rings around the eyes. Toothache holding cold water in mouth. Brie. Cough. Pulse. Vomiting. Of water as soon as it reaches the stomach. Food retained longer vomits food and water. Rs. Of enormous quantities. At intervals of several days when food has filled the stomach. Of all fluids as soon as taken. And purging. Offensive stools watery stools. The. With convulsive gagging and inexpressible pain. After laprotomy nux. Staph. Stomach. Pressure as from a load in one spot. Alternating with burning. Pain crampy. Spasmodic. With irritation. Cardialgia and pyrosis. Cholera morbus and summer complaint. When vomiting predominates. Stools foul. Patent. Watery. Offensive very prostrating us. The. Keynotes by H. C. Allen. Borax. Biburate of soda dread of downward motion in nearly all complaints. Great anxiety from downward motion. When laying the child down on a couch or in the crib. Cries and clings to the nurse. When rocking. Dancing. Swinging. Going downstairs or rapidly downhill. Horseback riding compare sanic. Children awake suddenly. Screaming and grasping sides of cradle. Without apparent cause APIs. Signer. Strum. Excessively nervous. Easily frightened by the slightest noise or an unusual sharp sound. A cough. Sneeze. A cry. Lighting a match. Etc. A SAR. Collad. Hair becomes frowsy and tangled. Splits. Sticks together at a tips. If these bunches are cut off, they form again. Cannot be combined flower. AC. Like. Tub. Eyelashes. Loaded with dry, gummy exudation. Agglutinated in morning. Turn inward and inflame the eye, especially at outer canthus. Tendency to wild hairs. Nostrils crusty. Inflamed. Tip of nose shining red. Red noses of young women. Stoppage of right nostril. Or first right then left with constant blowing of nose C. Lack C. Mag. M. A in the mouth. On the tongue. Inside of the cheek. Easily bleeding when eating or touched. Prevents child from nursing. With hot mouth. Dryness and thirst as. Cracked and bleeding tongue arum. Salivation. Especially during dentition. Of the sore mouth. Is worse from touch. Eating saltier sour food. Of old people. Often from plate of teeth alumen. Child has frequent urination and screams before urine passes like sanic, SARS, leukorrhea, profuse, albuminous, starchy, with sensation as if warm water were flowing down. For 2 weeks between the catamania compare. Bove. Con. Skin. Unhealthy. Slight injuries suppurate calend. Hep. Myrrh. Sil. Relation. Borax follows. Calc. Sanic. Sulf. Is followed. By. Ars. Brie. Like. Fos. Sil. Incompatible. Should not be used before or after. Acetic acid. Vinegar. Wine. Aggravation. Downward motion. From sudden. Slight noises. Smoking. Which may bring on diarrhea. Damp. Cold weather. Before urinating. Amelioration. Pressure. Holding painful side with hand. Keynotes by HC Allen. Bovista. Puffball fungi. Persons who suffer from tetary eruptions. Dry or moist. Adapted tooled maids. With palpitation. Stammering children strum. Discharge from nose and all mucous membranes. Very tough. Stringy. Tenacious calibre. Usually deep impression on finger. From using blunt instruments. Scissors. Knife. Etc. Intolerance of tight clothing around the waist calc. Lack. Sulf. Sweat in axilla. Smells like onions. Hemorrhage. After extraction of teeth ham. From wounds. Epistaxis. Great weakness of joints and weariness of hands and feet. Awkwardness. Inclined to drop thing. From hand APIs. Objects fall from powerless hands. Menses. Flowingly at night. Not in the daytime mag. C. Only in the day. Cease lying. Cac. Caust. Lil. Every 2 weeks. Dark and clotted. With painful bearing down sep. Intolerable itching at tip of coccyx. Must scratch till parts become raw and sore. Relations. Compare. C. Bell. Calc. Mag. S. Sep. In menstrual irregularities. Bovista antidotes. Effects of local applications of tar. Suffocation from gas. When rust seems indicated, but fails to cure. In chronic urticaria. Keynotes by H. C. Allenbromium, bromine, the element. It acts best, but not exclusively, on persons with light blue eyes, flaxen hair, light eyebrows, fair, delicate skin, blonde, red-cheeked, scrofulous girls, sensation of cobweb on the face bar, or graph, fan-like motion of the Alain ant. T. Like. Sailors suffer with asthma on shore. Stony. Hard. Scrofulous or tuberculous swelling of glands, especially on lower jaw and throat thyroid. Submaxillary. Parotid. Testes. Diphtheria, where the membrane forms in pharynx, beginning in bronchi, trachea or larynx, and extending upwards. Chest pains running upwards. Membranous and diaphoretic croup. Much rattling of mucus during cough, but no choking as in HEPA. Sounds loose, but no expectoration ant. T. Croupy symptoms with hoarseness during whooping cough. Gasping for breath. Dyspnea. Cannot inspire deep enough, as if breathing through a sponge or the air passages. Were full of smoke or vapor of sulfur. Rattling. Sawing. Voicey inaudible. Danger of suffocation from mucus in larynx and bronchi. Ant. T. Hypertrophy of heart from gymnastics in growing boys, from calisthenics in young girls. Caust. Thesomtra. Laudemician afflatus from the vagina like. Membranous dysmenorrhea lack. C. Cold sensation in larynx on inspiration rus. Sulf. After shaving. Carbo-an. Relations. Compare. In croup and croupy affections. Claw. Hep. Iod. Spung. Hard goiter cured after iod. Failed. Brom. Hascurid in croup after failure of iod. Fos. Hep. Spung. Especially in relapses after iod. The chief distinction between brom and iod is the former cues the blue-eyed and the latter the black-eyed patients. Herring. Keynotes by H. C. Allenbromium alba. White bryony. Wild hop. Cucurbitaceae. Is best adapted to persons of gouty or rheumatic diathesis, prone to so minus called bilious attacks. Bryonia patients are irritable, inclined to vehement and angry, dark or black hair, dark complexion, firmuscular fiber, dry, nervous, slender people nux, pains, stitching, tearing, worse at night, by motion, inspiration, coughing, by absolute rest, and lying on painful side tell, pulse, stitching pain, but and are opposite. Calice. Excessive dryness of mucous membranes of entire body. Lips and tongue dry. Parched. Cracked. Stool. Dry as if burnt. Cough. Dry. Hard. Racking. With scanty expectoration. Urine. Dark and scanty. Great thirst. Vicarious menstruation. No, bleed when menses should appear. Fos. Blood spitting. Or hemoptysis. Ailments from chagrin. Mortification. Anger call. Staph. Violence. With chilliness and coldness. After anger chilly, but with head hot and face red or complaints. When warm weather sets in, after after cold days. From cold drinks or ice in hot weather. After taking cold or getting hot in summer. From chilling when overheated. Kicks the covers off. From exposure to draft. Cold windican. HEP. Suppress discharges. Of menses. Milk or eruption of acute exanthema. One of the chief characteristics of bryonia is aggravation from any motion, and corresponding relief from absolute rest, either mental or physical. Desires things immediately which are not to be had, or which when offered are refused. Children dislike to be carried, or to be raised. Delirium. Talks constantly about his business. Desire to get out of bed and go home act. Hyos. Constant motion on left arm and leg epoch. Hell. Patient cannot sit up from nausea and faintness. Great thirst for large quantities, at long intervals. Headache. When stooping. As if brain would burst through forehead. From ironing sep. On coughing. In morning after rising or when first opening eyes. Commencing in the morning. Gradual increasing until evening. From constipation aloe. Colon. Op. Pressure as from stone at pit of the stomach. Relieved by eructation nux. Hull. Constipation. Inactive. No inclination. Stool large. Hard. Dark. Dry. As if burnt. On going to see plat. Diarrhea. During a spell of hot weather. Bilious. Acrid with soreness of anus. Like dirty water. Of undigested food. From cold drinks when overeated. From fruit or sauerkraut. In morning. On moving. Even a hand or foot. Mommy heavy. Of a stony hardness. Pale boothard. Hot and painful. Must support the breasts fit. Cough. Dry. Spasmodic. With gagging and vomiting calice. With stitches inside of chest. With headache. As if head would fly to pieces. After eating. Drinking. Entering a warm room. Deep inspiration. Relations. Complementary. Alumina. Rus. Similar. To. Bell. Hep. For hasty speech and hasty drinking. To ran. In pleuritic ormatic pains of chest. To play. In aching heaviness in hepatic region. Lying on right side. Greatly lying on left side. Turning toth left causes a dragging sensation. After bryonia. Alum. Calice. Nux. Fos. Rus. Sulf. Aggravation. Motion. Exertion. Touch. Cannot sit up. Gets faint or sick or both. Warmth. Warm fold. Suppress discharges of any kind. Amelioration. Lying. Especially on painful side tell. Pulse. Pressure. Rest. Cold. Eating cold things. Keynotes by HC ALLEN Keynotes by HC ALLEN Cactus grandiflorus. Night blooming cereus.